Hello, everybody. Greetings for all. We are Giovanni Garcia Castro and Francisco Javier Ruiz Ortega from Universidad Tecnológica de Pereira and Universidad de Caldas, both from Colombia. For us, it's very gratified to be in this space presenting part of a research that is part of a doctoral thesis. This time we will present an advance from the methodology using LCT for multimodality analysis in clinical argumentation. From the multimodal perspective of argumentation, it is recognized that speeches follow a process that transcends oral and written language, including gestures, graphics, or body postures, demonstrating through their use the development of complex skills of thought. The study of multimodality has been gaining relevance in didactics research, recognizing that in the natural setting of the school scientific construction, the interaction between the actors involved necessarily implies recognizing the multiple language used by one and the others to construct and represent meaning. We place this proposal in the field of systemic functional linguistics, considering argumentation as an epistemic practice that is to build knowledge. On the other hand, we recognize the use of multiple language in the classroom, in this case, in the health science. To address the problem, we want to do it by trying to answer some questions. The first question is, why research on clinical argumentation? First, to improve professional standards like handling complex situations in health science, well-being of the patient, and critical view to take the critical view of health disease phenomenon. Second, for critical thinking development, such as problem solution and the use of knowledge in a specific context, in this case, in clinical context. And finally, for building science in the classroom, using an understanding of academic language and understanding the nature of knowledge. For us, the teaching and learning process is mediated by language, arguing to boil knowledge, and there shall be an intentional use of resource to promote argumentation, an awareness of using multiple language when arguing, considering language as a mediator of cognitive process. Another question to answer is, why research on argumentation and multimodality in health science? We consider that the argumentation is a cognitive linguistic ability, whereas the construction of knowledge through the language, and language expresses the knowledge and understanding of scientific phenomena. Also, multiple languages are recognized. For example, the other modes are used in addition to oral and written language. The classroom is a particular setting for expressing oneself and arguing. Finally, applies to discursive communities when there is a specific language of the discipline and the discourse are specific to certain scientific communities. This led us to propose a general objective. The objective is to understand how the intentional use of multimodal resource by medical professors is related to the semantic aspect associated with clinical argumentation. And the specific objectives to describe comprehensively semantic aspect in discussed gravity in clinical argumentation process in the medical classroom. And the second is to relate semantic aspect of clinical argumentation process in the classroom when the use of multimodal resource. For this, we must place ourselves in the theoretical perspective on the proposed categories. The first is the argumentation, and precisely in argumentation in science didactics. We understand the argumentation like a cognitive linguistic ability that has been approached for different trends. Additionally, it is also considered school science construction promoter from the perspective of ability to both points of view and like epistemic practice. Regarding multimodality, we start from the fact natural sense of school scientific building and the language is a mean of legitimation of knowledge, recognizing the multiple and specialized language in the science classroom. At present, the legitimation code theory has been gaining strength as a construct based on a set of concepts known as dimension and as a tool that makes it possible to analyze not only the contribution of each language or the assessment of argumentative process in the classroom, but also as a tool to explore different organizing principles that underline the practice, disposition, and context of a particular discursive community. In the methodology, this research will be carried out with medical professors who will be videotaped while promoting clinical argumentation through the use of multimodal resource. Then discourse analysis will be carried out looking for the characterization multimodal clinical argumentation scenarios. For example, use of resources like oral speech, graphic research, and gestures or models. On these argumentative moments are identified, the structure of the arguments will be analyzed looking for conclusion, data, and justification, finding who strengthens the relationship between said components. They could be strong, moderate, or weak. Then an analysis will be carried out trying to define who abstract the discourse is in terms of its relationship with the context, that is what it is semantic gravity, and that is the relationship between it and the argumentative structure. In this case, a specific translation device has been designed. In this case, the objective is to describe comprehensively semantic aspect in clinical argumentation process in the medical classroom. In this specific translation device for semantic gravity, the semantic gravity is less in the level 4. Level 4 is called abstraction. In this level, arguments based on clinical or scientific theories with high abstraction and a strong relationship between conclusions, justification, and data are presented. And the level 3 is called, his name is generalization. In this case, the arguments with general observation with moderate relationship between the structures components of argument. In the level 2 is the revision. In this case, the arguments are presented with value judgment influenced by the context, and model relationship between conclusions, justification, and data. In the level 1 is called is description. In this case, the semantic gravity is more. The arguments that describe situation highly related to the context and include particular cause and weak relationship between the structural components of the argument. This is component. This is a structures component. Was taken that the Tolmin argumentation model. To better show you the purpose of the translation device, we want to show how the information analysis could be carried out. We will take our focal group and a student text production through the questionnaires for identification of argumentative structures. In this case, conclusions, data, and justification. On the other hand, we take recording debates between teacher or students for identifying relations between structural elements of the argument, in this case, weak, moderate, or strong. And finally, recording a classroom exercise to locate in terms of relation to the context, the gravity, the semantic gravity. In this case, 4 levels. The 4 is abstraction, generalization, revision, and the description is more semantic gravity. In this case, to relate the argumentative structure with abstraction in ideas and concepts, and to determine change over time, which will generate semantic gravity graph. This graph, to give an example to possible application of the proposal, let's look at a hypothetical case where the students have a production of an argument with moderate relationship between conclusions, justification, and data, and use an unscientific language more related to their experience. But after the interaction, it improves in terms of its abstraction. For this cause, we could obtain a trace that could behave in this way, evidencing the progress of the multimodal argumentative process. Is a line it's a line that run to the right in up in abstraction, and to the right in a strong relationships in the components of the structure of these arguments. The original aspect of research in the field of didactics and systemical functional linguistic, first is theoretical, and on the other hand, methodological. In theoretical, we have new ways of approaching aspect of teaching, and inclusion of new use of multimodal resource in the classroom. Approach to the multidimensional teaching of a mean for the collective construction of knowledge. And the methodological aspect, use of language is in the midst of a particular community, and the use of LCT in analysis. In this case, is an innovate factor in health science research. We hope in the short term to show the advance in the application of this instrument and specifically the incorporation of LCT in the investigation of the didactic and the health science. Thank you very much for all.